Welcome to Who Knew. We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, and here we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights of this modern regeneration of the show. Today's episode is The Girl in the Fireplace, Season 2, Episode 4. Nothing much happens this episode, so this will be a short one.
Yeah, nothing important.
Mechanical men travel through time for a young girl, but she's not ready yet. This episode was written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Euros Lyn. It first aired on the 6th of May, 2006, and it had 7.9 million viewers. Let's go around and introduce ourselves.
Hi, this is Brian.
Hi, this is Auburn.
Hi, this is Kelsey.
Arlene.
Josh.
Frank.
And this is Eugene.
Another full house.
Yay. The Palace of Versailles is under siege. A beautiful young woman tells her lover, King Louis XV, to leave the palace and go to his queen. She says that a man promised to come for her and she will be all right. She bends down to the fireplace and asks, "Are you there? I need you now. You promised. Doctor! Doctor!"
Cue credits.
I love this cold open. It's
a good one.
Really good.
This and the last show too. They're starting off like right away with action. Something's already happening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like the beginning of this, the Starfield tilt down.
Very Star Warsy,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And then when we get to the spaceship, it's the other way.
Mm-hmm. I like that too.
Oh, I didn't notice.
I did like how it was out in space, and then when you pan down, it's history. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not in the future. It's not a science fiction story, sort of, but it's, Versailles. Mm-hmm. So the TARDIS arrives on a seemingly abandoned spaceship in the 51st century. And yes, this is the same episode. The Doctor, Rose, and Mickey begin to look around and notice a lot of jerry-rigging has been done. The spaceship is also running on full power, but they are not moving. So where is that power going? They find an 18th century French wall with a working fireplace. The Doctor crouches down and sees through the fireplace to another room with a young girl named Renette. She tells him that it is the year 1727 and that she is in Paris. They have a nice chat and bid each other farewell. And the Doctor realizes that the fireplace is a conduit through space and time powered by the spaceship.
This is Mickey's first foray, really, as a companion going on for this.
Foyer?
Foyer.
So
No, I'm kidding.
Step into.
Kidding.
He's officially
starting again. This is Mickey's first trip as an official companion, and just in awe of everything, and just how he goes, wow, everything looks so real. Thinking
He's looking out the window, so realistic.
And you also notice Rose is happy that he's there. She's up right behind him. She's got her hands on his shoulders. I mean, this is
she's
very
taking
different
over
from
the Doctor again, similar to Adam, but where she's able to actually enjoy it, going, yes, you can, because they've had such a history between the two of them.
But it is nice to see that she doesn't have the same attitude as she had at the end of School Reunion. Right. And this happens right after that because
Well, I think that
same
was
shirt.
more.
So yeah, Mickey's wearing the same shirt. Not that he has a change of clothes, so it could be weeks
It
later.
happened right after.
No,
But
he
I know
says
it
this
happened
is my
right after.
first.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is my first. Yeah, and I got a spaceship. Yeah. So, yes, very good point, Frank.
I like his enthusiasm on that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think, she even in that moment in the other show, she was hesitant because of emotional reasons. But once she's there, she's just living vicariously through her friend back when she used to get excited about.
Well, and she got rid of Sarah Jane.
And she got rid of Sarah Jane. Right. So she's number one again.
And that little bit where the Doctor makes up this long techno babble. I just didn't want to say magic door.
After a moment, the Doctor locates a switch on the fireplace and it rotates. He is now in the girl's bedroom, but it is dark and she is asleep. She wakes up, startled to find a man in her room, but he calms her down, saying that he is the fireplace man she was just talking to. She informs the Doctor that their talk was months ago. They hear a tick-tock sound, but the only clock in the room, the clock on the mantle of the fireplace, is broken. A mechanical man dressed in period attire and wearing a mask pops out from under her bed. It has traveled from the spaceship and states it wants Renette, but she is incomplete. The Doctor tells her not to worry and lures the android to the fireplace, where he hits the switch, taking himself and the android from her room. Back on the ship, the Doctor uses the fire extinguisher to temporarily freeze the Clockwork Droid. He marvels at its beauty, but the droid uses a short-range teleporter to escape.
I like how when he heard the clock, the ticking noise, he noticed the clock was broken. It was like Sherlock Holmes mode, because you mentioned that it's a lower tone clicking.
And it's a bigger resonance.
Yeah, it has a larger resonance. It was very, very much like Sherlock Holmes.
Stephen Moffat doing a Sherlock reference?
Did he write this episode? Did he write this episode?
Yeah, this is Stephen Moffat. Did you say Stephen Moffat in the beginning? Yeah, Stephen Moffat wrote this episode.
Yeah, it feels very... I mean, that's what I always like about the
This
Doctor.
is very
anyway,
Stephen Moffat.
when he thinks of things we don't think of.
And it's,
also, I was just going to say the great design of the Clockwork Droids from their French
period piece.
masquerade pieces to when he reveals that it's a clockwork. You know, it's like looking at the inside
gears
of
of a clock.
Yeah, or a watch or something like that. And every time I see that, I'm like the Doctor. It's like, you are amazing. And I love how the Doctor's like, it would be a crime to take you apart, but I'm going to take you apart.
And yeah, having something underneath your bed is like very kid-like.
Common,
like,
yeah.
Yeah,
A child's
it's a
fear.
common fear, like something underneath your bed. I remember.
Yeah, it tapped into
Yeah.
a lot of just the weird thing of the two spaces being linked. The imaginary friend that she'll mention later, but it's still part of that there. The childhood, the scary thing under the bed. It had a lot of things all at once. And then even in the beginning, like you said, it was whatever century France, and then 3,000 years later.
Yeah, and then that mask was pretty scary looking.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was a design because originally it was supposed to be the clockwork face with the hair over it. But they're like, no, put a grin on that thing. They did. And it made it even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I love that design. And to Josh's point, it's very much a Stephen Moffat thing to do, to take a common childhood fear and build an entire story around it. You know, what's in the corner of your eye, you know.
Being left alone, empty child.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And the girl actress, she does a great job up against David Tennant, and very well done.
They also show the character of Renette being very composed. I mean, she's already talked to somebody on the other side of the fireplace and all this going on. She's scared, but she has still her wits about her. She doesn't cower.
No reason to get all freaked out about it.
And I love the thing when he's luring the droid over to the fireplace and saying, you know, it's just a nightmare. Don't worry. Everything has nightmares, even these things. And she goes, well, what are they scared of?
Me.
Exactly. And just the actress had that little smirk on her face. You know, it's great. She just loved that. Where it could have been totally fearful, but
It worked.
she has a good character on her starting already.
The Doctor tells Rose and Mickey not to go looking for the droid and returns to Renette's room to check on the little girl. When he arrives, a beautiful young woman is in the room, the same woman we saw at the beginning of the episode. She kisses the Doctor, a kiss that knocks him for a loop as a footman calls to her. He finds out that she is Renette Poisson, Madame de Pompadour. She leaves, and the Doctor returns to the spaceship. There's also a little note here that says, cue Brian's history lesson.
Brian?
Is that okay?
Madame de Pompadour.
Yes,
You're
please.
doing your own history lesson.
Well, it was written there. I didn't write it.
History lesson, please.
Okay, so she's, and I don't know French, so Jean Antoinette Poisson. She's Marquise de Pompadour, and she was also known as Madame de Pompadour. She was Louis XV's mistress. She was married. He was married. Everybody knew it. It's just what was done. Everything was fine with it. Through that, she gained a lot of power. In fact, the title Marquise de Pompadour was bought for her by, I believe it was by the king, to give her some status because she did have a lot of enemies in the court. Everybody had enemies and friends at the same time. But she was very well read. She was very well educated. She knew a lot of she was a patron of the arts. She was widely loved. She knew Voltaire. And also, just as a bit of trivia, she is the reason why we have the Pompadour haircut. So it's named actually after her.
Interesting.
Well, didn't he say the Doctor said like a good gardener because she redesigned the gardens in Versailles? Wasn't it
I think
something
so.
like that?
Yeah. And also the Place de la Concorde, which I believe is on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. It's a famous building. She designed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she was she
A lot of the look of what we think of as, the French.
Quintessential French.
Yes, came from her, and what we think of as, the high society came from her. She was very influential. She was one of the 3 most powerful women at the time, along with Catherine the Great of Russia and Marie Theresa of Austria. Those 3 women had a lot of power, a lot of influence.
She was friends with the Queen. Queen was friends with her. She became an official lady in waiting of the Queen. And also, they were only she was only the mistress for 6 years, and then after that, she was an advisor to the king. They weren't together anymore. He had other mistresses.
She arranged those.
Yeah, she would arrange a lot of them, but she wasn't his mistress anymore, and yet she retained power, her place, and stature.
An apartment in Versailles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really, and it's an amazing story.
And it was very common for the king to move in their mistress.
Very French.
Yeah.
A different planet.
Yeah, it's France. It's a different planet. Yeah,
Thus
definitely.
concludes Brian's Corner.
Brian's history.
Well, I thought the kiss that she gives the doctor and how he reacts to it is very different. Usually that's the other way around, and he's just taken aback.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of just shows how stunning of a woman she was, because he was stunned when he saw her. Mm-hmm. And then it was kind of like, she must have been a woman that anyone who met her fell in love with her, kind of type thing.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think the writers, the production, the director, the actress, they all convey that very quickly.
Yeah,
and
you
very
really
effectively.
believe the connection in the relationship that the 2 of them have.
And with the kiss, he doesn't know who she is.
Right.
And he's stunned by the kiss. He's blown away by the kiss. And then right after that, he figures out who she is, and he's just head over heels, because he's like, wow, this beautiful woman who just kissed me, and it was a great kiss, is now, I know, smart, intelligent, powerful,
Influential.
and it's like,
And a good
he
gardener.
suddenly realizes, wow, that's the whole package for me.
And some of that does go to Sophia Miles, who played the role.
She pronounces it Sophia Miles on the commentary. Yeah.
Well, that's her opinion.
How dare you pronounce your... Okay, Josh.
And Renette is, I think, Little Queen.
Little
Is that
Queen,
like
yeah.
a nickname.
Yeah.
So Queen Fish?
Yeah, Poisson.
What was the family name?
Yeah.
Little Queen Fish.
Little Queen Fish.
I like
That's what
that.
we'll call her.
I like the music cue. Her theme is on the CD, the soundtrack you can buy. It's
really?
Yeah, it's really cool, and it reminds me a lot of the Father's Day theme that they
There's
play.
melancholy in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and sort of Rose's theme in there a little bit. But I like how they use it throughout this episode. The Doctor is not surprised, but nonetheless miffed that Rose and Mickey have left to find the droid. As he searches the ship for them, he comes across a white horse and shed doors. He goes through the doors and is back in France on the grounds of an estate. He sees Renette with a friend and watches from afar as they discuss her becoming the king's courtesan.
Did we already have the mind meld?
No.
No. Okay.
Rewind.
Soon to be.
Well, one thing, we're not really talking a lot about this episode, like in some others, and that's why you kind of kept reading, because we were all watching it. It's like we were taking the notes.
I did not take very many notes on it
because we just really get captivated by this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, this episode moves very lightning fast. It's just you're just in it, but then it's not a bad thing, like some other.
Well, and there's so
things.
many locations and things to keep track of, I think, and they do a good job bouncing back and forth. But like the last episode, School Reunion, we're in one location. It's much more of a character study, so I think it's a lot easier to really grasp and say, "Oh, wow, that's really great," or "Well, that's weird." Where this, like you said, it just keeps moving.
It's really driving. Like it just moves and keeps going.
One bit I liked in this scene was Mickey doing his best Jim Kirk, kind of rolling around with the gun, and jumping around somewhere else.
Like
He's having a lot of fun
Yeah.
with this. And those aren't the regular fire extinguishers we're used to. They're
space
definitely
agey.
doing more with the cold freezing aspect of it.
I like how when Rose says we shouldn't leave, and then he gets it that we should leave, the look of joy on his face that has he's giddily running to get the fire extinguisher is great.
His whole body was in that.
Well, I feel like it gives him that opportunity to be in the video games that he plays.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Because he's wearing the T-shirt.
Know your
that's a good
roots.
Know your
point.
roots, and it's the Nintendo controller. So it's like now he gets to be in
Yeah.
the video game, and he's holding that cool space AG gun
And rolling around on a
yeah.
spaceship.
So he's just making the best of it.
Yeah.
Is he the only companion that was ever a murder suspect?
Maybe. Probably.
I don't know.
Just a thought.
But I don't recall, when was he a murder
Everyone
subject?
thought he killed
Rose.
Rose.
Oh yeah.
A year
Came
later.
back and
A year
I don't know.
later.
Leela was pretty quick with a knife in her day.
Yeah, but she was never accused. It was not like a wrong thing to do.
That's right. Her planet didn't have courts.
Yeah.
I did like the scene where he's looking at the garden
Uh-huh.
and she's talking about becoming the king's courtesan. It's a tiny little scene. It's really quick, but it does a lot. You know, it explains what she's doing. It explains that they're moving through time easily.
Very quickly.
And also, it's great character for her because she sees him. She knows he's there.
Yeah, she
And
keeps
you
turning.
think so?
I wasn't
keeps
sure she
turning
saw
back.
him or
Well,
not.
I didn't get
she
the
keeps
impression
she keeps
she did.
turning around, and I think when she turns back, she's got a knowing look on her face. Like she might not have seen his face, but to me, I play it as she knows he's there and he's watching her.
I kind of like that was a glimpse into her because that's the only time we see her when what
he
her life
sees-
is
yeah.
like when he's not involved.
Yes,
So like, that's her
good.
daily life. We see that she's having a life, and part of her life is always thinking he's around the corner.
It's hard
that
work
was-
becoming a mistress.
Yes.
Mickey and Rose come across parts of the ship that have been replaced with human parts. A surveillance camera now has a human eyeball for a lens. A heart has replaced a pump for mechanical fluids. Ew. It smells like Sunday roast. They come across a two-way mirror showing them 18th century France as the doctor meets up with them. These portholes are all over the ship, and each randomly coordinates with a different time in Renette's life. This one is showing the night she met the king. After King Louis leaves, a clockwork droid approaches her, and the doctor, Rose, and Mickey enter through the mirror. The doctor freezes this droid like he did the first. As they question it, the droid will only respond to Renette. It tells her that it is a repair droid, and after an ion storm, it did not have the parts to fix the ship. It had to complete its programming, so it used the crew as parts. It needs one more part, and it looks at Renette. She is still incomplete. The droids keep opening time windows in an attempt to find her when she is complete. Renette, in disgust, tells it to get out, and following orders, it teleports away.
I like this part with they're talking about the parts and like this is a machine looking at another machine trying to fix this thing, and then Mickey, having been like a mechanic, is like, oh, it's always to the parts. I think that's cool. That's like it goes back to him, and now he's like kind of empathetic with the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a realistic dilemma. There's a few little things here that are nice. Rose says, oh, wow, she's Camilla.
Yeah.
So that's very funny and clever. Camilla is Charles's.
Mistress.
Oh,
Camilla.
I get it.
Yeah. So, you know, his longtime
Right.
companion.
Courtesan?
So that's a nice little bit. And then, oh, you're not going to keep the horse. I let you keep Mickey. Yeah. So that's very funny. And he names the horse Arthur.
It's a good name for a horse.
And then the one other thing too is that, again, this is another example. We had a little bit of it with School Reunion where Mickey is just in heaven going, the doctor, he has a past. You know, he has Madame de Pompadour. He's got Cleopatra. Well, he said her name was Cleo. Yeah. So it's like, you know, he's not the perfect thing that Rose describes him as. And I love that he's just like, you know, I don't think he looks any less at the doctor. Probably even thinks more highly of him, but it's just kind of like, ha.
Well, now that he's on the adventures themselves, it's no more imagining. It's like thinking what your ex-girlfriend's doing with her boyfriend and where they live and all this stuff. He's actually there now, and he sees, this isn't that big of a deal anyway, or he starts to see the kinks.
I think he's just having fun now. Like when the eyeballs looking at him, he's like, "Are you looking at me?"
Yeah.
And then he's holding the big extinguisher. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny.
And then it zooms in and he does a little yelp.
Yeah, so he is having a lot of fun, which is great to see.
Are the magic doors, portals, locked on her time?
I think so.
The fireplace is the one that seems not to be at a stable location or in time.
I think they're basically, well, we didn't come. It's a plot point if you want to keep reading. I think they're searching for a specific time.
Yeah. Should we save that? We'll save that.
I do think that the portals are locked to a specific period in her life, not mainly, not like a day. It might be, this is when she's 23.
Because that changes with the fireplace.
Yeah,
the fireplace is the one that's odd of the.
But
portal.
also, he says even in the beginning, he says there's a loose connection with the fireplace.
Yeah,
I would think that they're all at a fixed point geographically in her life, but they're probably all just cycling through the days. So if he went in and out of where a mirror was, time would have passed. If he went in and out where another window was, time would have passed. Like if he left and then came back 2 minutes his time to that when he was hiding behind the planter, it wouldn't have been that same day.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, but
It
I don't
would've
think
been
that
the
it would.
same
I don't think it would have gone years.
Well, whatever it would have been.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking there's a certain part where that window to the
That window is jumping
garden
more.
Well, that window to the garden, I don't think ever showed her at 37.
Yeah.
No. Oh. Well,
We don't know.
That's something that I wanted a little more
That's what I thought he
clarification.
was saying.
well, I think
And you're looking at me like
I think
grown a second head.
every portal is searching for that time.
So they're all in flux?
I took it as that.
yeah.
Like,
Well, the fireplace is near the main control area of the ship. The other ones are all over different places. Maybe once they actually lock in, they can lock it down to that time period, go investigate and see if that's the right one.
No, that could be.
And maybe they didn't get the chance. He was there with the fireplace to see if this was the correct time, but the doctor interrupted, so it's still fluctuating, trying to find the time.
And see, I
just thought of that.
I mean, I still think it's because he says there's something wrong with the fireplace, even in the beginning of the episode. There's a
What
loose
did he say?
connection.
Loose connection. You need
does say loose
to get a man in.
Yeah, need to get a man. There's a loose connection on this.
Then that's probably what it is.
Because I think that fireplace was for her as a little girl. I see the fireplace as one of the first time windows.
Oh, okay. And so they just keep
But
punching these time windows and looking for, and they stay wherever they are.
That's how I look at it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I mean, that's just how
But I
I
like that it's not set right.
Yeah,
There's something wrong with it.
Yes, the fireplace always had something unique about it.
The doctor sends Rose and Mickey back to the ship to find and observe the droid, while he stays to find out why the droid only wants Renette. He places his hands on her temples and Vulcan mind melds with her. As he walks through her memories, his mind opens to hers as well. She experiences how lonely he is and he breaks the connection. She insists. Well, let's just say that the doctor does indeed dance. Did you guys get that one? Okay.
Oh, sorry. I was supposed to laugh sooner.
I thought everybody was going to.
Did you get that one from the Doctor Dances?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Checking. Out.
So, has that ever been done before? Is that a thing that happened in the
Vulcan
classic
mind
Who?
meld?
Yeah.
I think every once in a while the doctor would do something weird.
He just has
But I
these
don't
random
remember that.
superpowers that
Fits
fit the story.
plot.
Yeah.
But then she sees that the doctor's worried he'll never be as great as Darth Vader.
It's because, he learned occlumency and
This is where, she sees into his mind, and the overriding thing that she sees is loneliness, and also that he was a lonely child.
Yeah.
So again, this is the first time, well, not again, this is the first time with Stephen Moffat, the doctor was lonely as a child. That'll come back.
Yeah.
He brings that back. He's always talking about how lonely the doctor is. It's a theme with Stephen Moffat.
It's a great setup. So, it uses the fact that maybe this woman was something extraordinary to tell us more about our main character. And but it almost seems like it's telling us about her because we already know it's sort of, it's a good writing trick that at first it's like trying to figure out who this woman is and all that stuff, but we end up finding out more about the Doctor, we take that with us into the future episodes. And it's great.
Also, sorry.
I was just say that she's such a brave woman that she would be able to just like walk in and she's like, I need to know if you can see me, like I can see you.
Also, another thing, I mean, watching this episode now with so many Stephen Moffat episodes yet to come, you kind of see now this is a woman who the Doctor appears to as a little girl and then disappears until an adult
later.
This was an imaginary friend.
Yeah, I mean,
and I mean, I don't want to get into
but
where it's coming
totally
from.
parallel.
But at one point she's like, oh, you're the Fireplace man.
Yeah.
It's another nickname.
This is a total precursor.
It's a nickname. This is my childhood imaginary friend who I nicknamed Fireplace Man. So it's like you do see patterns when you get to Stephen Moffat, and
totally.
not that they're bad. This is this is Girl in the Fireplace.
This one works.
I like to see someone juxtapose like clips of like the future seasons that we're talking about next to instances in this episode.
And you brought up, even Dr. Dances. It's like, well,
Another theme or
but
thing.
who wrote it?
Yeah.
Stephen Moffat. So he's
he did?
he's calling back his own episode where it's like, Shirley, you dance, and don't call me Shirley.
I wanted to go back to that footman that calls for her, Renette. That guy looked like he came out of France in the 1700s or whatever. He looked perfect for that role. And then his look was just like, who is this guy?
Okay.
And he had a blue light.
I saw it. I swear I did.
Rose and Mickey are captured by the repair droids and tied to surgical beds. But before they are dissected and become parts for the ship, a drunken doctor waltzes in with a wine glass in hand. He tells Rose that the droids are waiting for Renette to be 37 years old, the age of the ship, and therefore, at that time, her brain will be complete and used as a compatible command circuit. He pours the contents of his wine glass into the mechanical droid, shutting it down. He flips the switch and all the other droids power down. Suddenly, a message comes in and reactivates the droids. The right time window has been found, and they all teleport away.
When the Doctor is sort of dancing in, he's singing I Could Have Danced All Night from My Fair Lady.
Yeah, he's a My Fair Lady fan.
I think that's great.
Who's the My Fair Lady in the Doctor? Or?
Yeah,
maybe.
I Could Have Danced All Night is the song
It's the
he's
song-
Oh,
singing.
you just said. Oh, I thought that was a recall to something.
No.
In particular.
Just wanted to point that out.
They
And
did.
then-
Go ahead. No, you first, please.
Like, where did he get sunglasses from?
He invented him. I don't know.
in the pocket of his suit.
TARDIS.
Okay.
His pockets are bigger on the inside.
But we've never seen him wear sunglasses
Yeah.
ever.
But I think it's perfect with the tie on his
the tie
head
on
and
his head.
Maybe it's his real glasses are just transition lenses.
But they were circular.
Yeah,
it's a chameleon circuit on his glasses.
I like that he has his tie tied around his head. It's
Well, he keeps them in his pocket next to the banana.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
He had a banana in his pocket, but I did not believe he had sunglasses.
That's my favorite line. Always bring a banana to a party.
And that's another Moffat theme.
Oh,
From the
Reoccurs later on.
yeah,
is it?
this,
Okay.
no,
And
this,
And it's from Eccleston, even
Eccleston,
right?
yes.
yeah, it's from Eccleston.
Empty
where
Child Doctor dances.
The Doctor dances. Yeah, he blows up the gun factory and replaces it with a grove of banana
bananas.
trees, and he has a banana which he switches out the squareness gun. So again, Moffat is he has his go-tos that he
Being
likes.
very meta on his own work.
So do you guys think that the Doctor actually was partying with the French, or when he came on board, he saw everything was happening and then just put together the disguise of that he was just partying?
Oh no, both.
Both.
I see
Okay.
both.
Oh, he partied.
Okay.
He partied
And he danced.
and he danced.
All night.
Yeah.
With Madame Pompadour.
And then he came back
I got the
and-
feeling he could have danced for more.
Oh, yeah. but that scene is very like Columbo-like, where he's bumbling around sort of.
Right.
And then he just goes,
Excuse me.
"Burp."
But Rose was not amused.
The anti-oil was kind of funny.
She makes a reference to the oncoming storm.
Yes, she does.
And that's a callback to season 1's Parting of the Ways, where the Daleks call the Doctor the oncoming storm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because she
But I
even
love how she
says, "Do you
says
know
it.
what the Daleks call him?"
Yeah.
I love how she says it. It's like, really? That's how you're coming in when I'm trying to build you all up in this huge thing? Yeah, the oncoming storm.
Like,
Could you have done it a little bit better?
It's like, look what the cat dragged in. The oncoming storm.
Be a little more Spock-like.
Just a little Spock.
She did not want him to be silly this episode.
I agree.
And he was a lot with the horse. And
Right.
so
Rose finds a time window to Renette when she is 32 years old. She warns her that the droids will come for her sometime after her 37th birthday. Rose tells her that the doctor promises to be there when it happens. Mickey pulls back a tapestry and calls to Rose that they found the right time window. Renette goes through the opening to the ship and hears the screams of her future. She hears her own words calling for the doctor and knows she must go back.
I thought this was very interesting that it's another scene where Rose is talking to someone.
Yes.
Another woman of that time, but this time it's not a commoner. It's always been a commoner in the past, and now it's an aristocrat, but she still has that very emotional connection with her.
Yeah. It's a great scene. There's
Also,
a lot.
that was a bought title, so she really wasn't an aristocrat.
Well, that's true. Although if you think about it, every time Rose talks, well, I guess in a way this one, but not so much. Like that, every time the Rose does have a poignant conversation with another woman, she ends up dying at the end of the episode. Don't talk to Rose. If either of you ever find Rose, don't just be like, no, I'm okay.
There's some good stuff in that.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I like it. She's very touched by, even like you said, like just by meeting this woman, she's very taken by her.
It's almost as if she's intimidated because she's kind of like slow, not like revealing everything to her. Like,
You mean Rose, right?
yeah, Rose, like trying to tell her.
because usually Rose is the one who's sort of catching other
Yeah.
people off guard. This woman is catching Rose off guard. Like she's smarter. She's figuring all this stuff out, like lickety split.
But she's also...
That was a move
What-
that she usually had in the open door room.
But I also like the fact that she kind of sees what's going on between Renette and the doctor, but she's not jealous this time.
Yeah, and I think it's because she met her without, like, she actually bonded with her.
No, I think I see it more as, wow, this woman's perfect for the
Well, yeah,
doctor.
well, that's sort of what I mean. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not just, and I also think, too, what she went through with the last episode, she grew a little bit.
But also, it's only been half an hour in her own time.
yeah, I don't think
but
All
she
the
sees
stuff
the
that's been
doctor.
happening is either between the doctor and Renette that she doesn't see.
No, I understand, but last week she instantly,
Right.
had a thing with Sarah Jane instantly. The initial,
Right.
knee-jerk response with Sarah Jane was hostility. That
Right.
they got over within half an hour. And this one, that's it. The knee-jerk reaction isn't there.
So I don't think, well, it's going to kind of come up later, but I don't think she's actually thought of it yet, because I think in this interaction, Rose is the one that's caught off guard. She's like, how does Renette know all of these things? How is she so in control? How is she talking to me so peacefully? And then she leaves, and then Renette follows her. You haven't said that yet, but she follows her. And then she says, like I know that heartbreak is like worth it. It's like worth it. Or what is the actual...
Tolerate a world of demons for the sake. There's
One may tolerate a world of demons for the sake of an angel.
Yeah.
And
Some great lines in this episode.
the doctor is worth the monsters.
Yeah, the doctor's with. So she's like, you just like like I know. So that's when Rose gets it, after Renette tells her this is what's happening. And then later on, Rose cries, not because she's left alone, but we'll go on.
Yeah. Anything? I mean, the scene just gives us exposition, but in a
great way.
a great way, not like this is an exposition scene.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, we're seeing character development.
Yeah.
And she just steps through the tapestry to get onto the spaceship.
Oh,
It's like, no, we're just...
that's
What?
that reminded me of the Star Trek episode with Mark Twain, where he goes on to the Enterprise and he's just like,
Oh, yeah.
so, you know.
Technically, what does
Mark,
mean?
that's how Mark Twain used to talk.
Oh, thank
And
you.
don't forget, both of his hands were up in the air, shaking side to side as he was going.
C-3PO was based on Mark Twain.
Yeah, let's not talk about that episode. Anyway.
I like that time travel in Star Trek, whatever.
Okay. We have caught up with the first scene of the show, where Versailles is under siege by the repair droids, and Renette is at the fireplace calling for the doctor. The droids take Renette to the ballroom. They have locked the doorway, so the doctor cannot get through, but he watches as they are about to take her head. The doctor mounts the white horse and crashes through the mirror, destroying the time window along with all connection to the ship, thereby trapping himself in the droids in 18th century France. Knowing they can no longer fulfill their purpose, the droids just shut down. Rose and Mickey are also trapped on the spaceship without the ability to fly the TARDIS.
Okay, so this is where I was going to say. So before the doctor jumps through the window or the mirror, whatever it is, he says, we can't break it because we'll sever the connection. Mm-hmm. So he lets her know that. And then he does it anyway. And then Rose cries. Rose cries because not because he left her alone, but because he chose her.
Or Madame de Pompadour over Rose.
Over Rose. And she's like, because it was either one of them was going to die. Because without the doctor, Rose is going to die on the spaceship on her own. And I think that's what she's thinking about. Like, he closed off that connection between us.
Okay, I've never thought that before, and I need time to think about that. That's good.
Yeah. But I disagree with you.
While we're thinking, what I immediately thought after first watching this episode was like the doctor will take the key, put it in an envelope and bury it
Right.
so that later in the future, Rose can get it and go into the TARDIS and get him back. I was thinking like Back to the Future and all this other stuff, but it didn't work out that way, which is fine.
You would need to tell Rose.
Yeah. I'm just saying that's what I immediately thought.
But the whole idea that he can't use a TARDIS, my reaction is, yeah, right. That's just a story plot because they don't know what else to do. They would use the TARDIS in any other storyline.
What does he say? We're part of events now?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that
in other
taking the
parts of
TARDIS.
it.
Yes, that was totally. I need a script out real quick.
I mean, he has said it before to Rose, the Ninth Doctor. It's like, we are here. We could just leave, but things will just go on as the way that they're going. So it's like we could just leave, but that was never came, in some of the previous episodes. But this one, to actually be part of it and get her, he's done that and he will do that kind of thing.
But I like it. It's really beginning to sink in.
See, I still think
like it.
Rose, the reason she cried was this happened a lot quicker than I thought it would. From the last episode where he's saying we can't be together, we can still travel together, be companions, and have this journey, but we're not going to be together. Wow, he left me. That was her whole thing last scene. Well, you're going to just drop me someplace. She just said this wasn't going to be that quick. It's the first time.
But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
We're talking about the same thing.
No, he didn't leave her for another woman. He left.
No, he left her for another woman because it's like he jumped in, he sacrificed everything without thinking through a plan like he normally does and just jumped in to save her because it was at that moment that she needed him.
And I don't see it that way.
I like to think that there's a scene that we don't see, obviously, where Mickey, Rose, and the doctor all decide together the doctor should jump through the window.
Yeah.
We just don't get to see that.
Right.
It doesn't lessen how Rose feels at the end of it, but
I don't think
might
there
be
was. I
nice
think,
to-
what Arlena said before, the doctor knows what's best, so he's going to do it and not have that scene
Hesitation.
happen. I don't think he's going to confer with him to see, well, what do you think we should do?
I also
He's
think
going to jump through.
I'm not
but
saying that happened. I just said it's
Right.
nice to think that maybe that happened, and I can think that because we didn't see that.
I mean, he knows it's going to break the time lock. So to me, he was going through it because the droids are there messing up history and going to kill her when she's not supposed to be killed. It's not going just for Renette.
Yeah.
No, but what
He's going
Arlene's talking
because to
about-
try and fix what's going on, and that's what the doctor
that's
does.
not how Rose saw it. It doesn't matter. He still did choose that situation with another woman over her. That's
No, he
I don't think it
Frank
was
is saying that
the
he
woman.
chose to fix history.
but that's not how Rose saw
he
it.
chose-
We're not talking about what he
Right.
No, no.
actually did.
Okay.
We're talking. Don't.
But
we're not
he's-
talking-
No. I get his point.
Am I right?
No, I get his
You're
point.
talking
No,
about
no,
what
I get-
Rose went through, not what he went through in this.
And that's why
in this
after that,
explanation.
she's sitting there. He's like, well, how long did you wait? She's like, 5.5 hours. How long have you been? He's like, okay, always wait for 5.5 hours. So like, it's just kind of like she'll be waiting for him. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But that's what she went through, like turmoil and emotion
Right.
through that moment. So
I'd like to say that I think both of you are right, but because you're talking about what she was feeling and you're talking about what he was feeling or thinking.
Oh my gosh, this is a he said, she
Yes,
said.
it's totally. This is what it's like to be in a relationship with a woman.
Therapist.
No. I mean, we think differently. Men think this way.
I'm not gonna let you
And
just
women
say
think
that and we
that way.
move on, but
You have to learn how to understand what the other person is thinking,
you should just
despite your own perspective. No, you have to. Am I wrong? You have to consider the other person's thoughts and feelings besides what you're going through. Yeah.
A point to that. Rose acted very differently.
Obviously, you haven't learned that lesson yet.
why do you keep talking? Why do you keep
Anyway, my original point was
And we are now 5.
my original point just was that I think both of you are right on that end, but I think danger always trumps everything else. So she was in danger, whereas Rose and Mickey, they weren't in immediate danger.
Mm-hmm.
So story-wise, danger always wins.
I will think about what you're saying about what Rose is going through, because she did act very differently than the last time she was separated from the Ninth Doctor, where she was doing everything possible to get the TARDIS back to the Doctor. Mm-hmm. And Jackie and Mickey helped her by pulling open, thing. And so she didn't do that. She didn't move towards the TARDIS.
She didn't move.
She waited,
and she
so
just cried.
there might be.
And looked out the
I'll have
window.
to think about
Yeah.
that, because that's not something I had thought of before. What you had said about
It really
what she's
gives it
going
an
through.
emotional punch. Even more of an You made this episode better. I didn't think that was possible. Wow. I want to watch it again.
That was good the second time around. Brunette wants the Doctor to stay, but knows that it is not right that he is trapped in this time. She takes him to her bedroom, to where she has had her old fireplace moved, exactly as it was when they first met. The Doctor finds a loose connection that happened when it was moved. He fixes the connection and flips the switch, returning him to the spaceship. Through the fireplace, he tells Brunette to get ready, for she is coming with them.
This is the time. Sorry, the Doctor's an idiot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I even wrote, what did I write? Was he that dumb to think it would only be 2 minutes on her end?
After going through the fireplace, seeing that it travels differently in time at that connection.
Then again, I think this is how I feel like the Doctor has been acting very emotionally in these last couple minutes, because he jumps in and then he's talking to her and they're talking about he's going to take the slow road with her. And then she's like, well, no, you're not. She's the one that's being rational, and she's the one that's talking him and making him like, hey, look, this is what I did.
She's
And
great.
and then he just runs through. He's like, I'll be back. And then he's just not thinking. He is acting like this emotional puppy that's totally in love with Madame de Pompadour.
But I also think there's a part of him he's making sure that Mickey and Rose are safe.
Yeah.
Because, he is checking in with them.
But he could have brought her with him.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
But he's not thinking.
No, he's not thinking that. No,
rationally at the moment,
I'm agreeing with you. He's not being rational.
But that's also, I'm thinking, the other portals, the other magic doors, are more linked in time, more stable.
Because
Where the fireplace is the one that fluctuates and runs through it at a different time rate.
So, were they just opening time holes throughout the ship over the years? Like, well, you know what I mean? Like, well, this time hole didn't work. We need to build another one. It wasn't like there were already time holes.
No, they were punching them through, and for me,
Right.
I'm not an expert on time holes. But I think they just would show up on different locations on the ship. They didn't plan for it to be in a certain location. And then this one, they send someone through to go check, and that's when they stabilize it. And I think something with the fireplace went wrong. Now, one thing that was bugging me for the longest time, that was the biggest plot point, biggest hole, is that the fireplace was offline. So when Renee heard herself calling for the Doctor, that couldn't have happened because the fireplace was offline. It was not part of it.
You don't know when it went offline. You didn't know when it went offline.
It went offline because they had said so. The Doctor said when she moved it, then that had the loose connection and it wasn't hooked up properly. So when she moved it from her old home to this, so it couldn't have happened. But listen, finally, I heard this. Mickey says that the doctor fixed an audio link. So that was only a one-way audio link that he was able to hear, but it wasn't a portal in time. Right. It wasn't able to go through it at that point. That's how we can rationalize it. We can like this again.
So if anyone else had that question, you just answered it for them.
And just a couple, one thing I wanted to say, and we got sidetracked because Arlene made it better. When
Thank you.
Rose, he breaks through the mirror, portal closes. He's on one side, which, by the way, I love how he's like, "Oh, you're the king of France. I'm the Lord of Time." I love that little bit. He's on one side, Rose is on the other side, and no spoilers, but it's like they're on opposite sides of the wall, and they're disconnected from each other, and it's like, oh, foreshadowing.
Good foreshadowing.
Yeah, there's a little. It's just kind of like, and it resonates now when she's just standing there, and it's like, oh yeah. So sorry if people are watching Doctor Who as things go along, but
but it's a good argument for rewatching things.
Yes.
Or not things.
Oh, yeah.
Rewatching these Doctor Who episodes with like the future episodes in mind, and be like, ooh, that was set up so long ago.
And I would hear them say things like, "Oh, that's what that is." When it first comes on, you don't even know what they're talking about, like Bad Wolf and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the part where the doctor flips back to the 51st century. It's like heartbreaking when he says, "Wish me luck," and she says no.
Right, and and then the look on his face changes,
and the look on her face. Oh,
yeah, it's so good.
She knows.
yeah, she knew.
because she
knew the whole time.
rationally.
Yeah,
Because she didn't run back to the fireplace. She
Right.
stood out and looked out the window.
Right.
She didn't go pack.
Nope. She
Yeah.
went
Right.
Well, we
straight to
don't
the
know
window.
that.
Well, her
And
whole
she
life.
looked
We
out the
don't know
window.
that.
Well, I'm just saying the doctor told her to go pack. I'll be
Yeah.
back in 2 minutes.
But she knows that's
You would think if
No, the
she
doctor
thought-
told her to go pick a star. So she went to the window.
Oh, I
that's
thought he
right.
said to go pack.
He did.
did.
But he also
Pack a
said,
bag.
go pick a star.
Yeah.
And so she went to the
That's
window
why
and looked
she went
out.
to the window.
Yeah, but I think she didn't wasn't in a rush. She was like,
what star
But
do
it
I want
was
to
a
go to?
sweet moment. She was
Yeah.
picking a star.
knowing in sadness
Knowing in
that he
sadness,
wouldn't
yeah.
come back.
Yeah, totally.
This whole scene reminds me of Peter Pan, which I love.
Oh yeah,
Like from the start.
Do you think she picked the second star to the right?
Yep. And then he came back too late, just
That's
like
right.
Peter Pan.
That's right.
Or Wendy.
This episode's just so sad.
He meets up with Rose and Mickey and tells them to wait in the TARDIS while he goes back for Renette. He uses the fireplace to return to France, where he finds out 6 years have passed and Renette has died. She has left a letter for him if he were ever to return. He takes the letter and returns to the TARDIS. She writes that she hopes to see him again before she passes. As the TARDIS leaves the spaceship, we see a portrait of Renette, and we also see the name of the ship, the SS Madame de Pompadour.
Oh.
Now, does anyone have a theory on that? That was
Yes.
why that was the name of the ship.
Oh, that's just the name of the ship.
Wait,
Yeah, well, I want
What
to hear
theory?
a theory of why. Yeah, do you have a theory?
My theory is that this is it started the doctor coming in created an alternate timeline, and in that ship's timeline they actually succeeded, and her brain actually ran the ship, so she actually was the ship, and it was breaking down, so they had to build time holes to go back in time to fix the ship. That's
Yeah, not
why
following.
that's why the robots
No.
listened to her orders earlier on in the episode.
no,
Because she was in charge.
no.
But in this universe,
Well, okay. Well,
That's one way to look at it,
why were the robots earlier on obeying her commands?
Because she was Madame de Pompadour.
Because of the
So
name
what?
of the ship.
Because
The name of
is
the ship is Madame de Pompadour. The
Why?
robots equated them.
Hold on.
that was the name.
Why
I
would
have
they
a
name
theory.
that? You see, it's just an arbitrary.
arguing
So,
Yeah.
so if the ship was named
The George Washington.
the George
They would
Washington,
go for George Washington.
Because they need the command center, the brain of the ship, so they're looking for
And they're
that
dumb
part we need.
robots.
Okay, they're dumb robots because of the ion storm screwed their programming up. So then they see Madame de Pompadour all over the ship. So they want to find that person. They don't know any better.
Is
That's
that
how
why
I
they-
rationalize it.
That's why they took apart the crew
Yeah.
as well.
Right.
Yeah. And there is a TARDIS-ode on this, so you actually do see the crew if you're ever curious.
There is a what?
There's a small promo episode where you see the crew before they get used up as parts.
Assimilated.
Yes.
Ooh, I want to watch that.
It's very quick. It's not. I don't want to build it up too much.
All right. Well, I'll have to sit on that.
It's a fun theory, but I do think it's just because the name of the ship. That's why they focused on her.
It's just a class of ship that's their pattern of naming things.
Like the Queen Mary.
Yeah, exactly. And because of that, they
And the robots got screwy
from
the ion storm.
Yes. That's how I
They were just
rationalized it.
thinking-
And they're
All
like,
right.
well, since the rest of the ship is human, the command needs to be human.
And then we need to get that brain that belongs to the ship, which is Madame
All
de
right.
Pompadour.
I like both theories. I like how mine creates a paradox.
Do we know what the ship's original mission was?
I think it was on a 5-year
To
mission.
seek out.
I think they were to seek out other fish life.
Yes.
I'm not sure because the
Just
design
that
of
these robots were able to create time travel.
yeah.
Seems interesting.
I think that's also part of the ion storm. It created this thing, and then they were like, "Oh, we can do this, but we need to like put more power into the engine to punch these holes through
Yeah,
time."
I think it was just the robots or the ship's way of trying to figure out how to fix itself.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I just looked up, just because I wanted to confirm, I couldn't remember it. Later on, we will actually see reference to the SS Marie Antoinette,
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
which also has clockwork droids. So,
But not as effective.
not as effective, no. But it's just the pattern of naming ships of that class.
Just throughout this episode, the lighting is very colorful. I like the contrast between the shades of color that they use. It's very cool. Like the blues when it's all
Waiting
night.
for blue.
Yeah. And then when the light comes on from the fireplace, it's very yellow and bright. I don't know. I like that stuff. Especially when she go with that crane shot when he's resigned to living in France in 1700. The crane shot goes down and it's very like purpley and blue. And then when they go into the room again, it's just a motif that I've noticed with the color palette. It's very cool.
Also in this episode, it just makes me sad that he wouldn't go back to visit her before she died in the TARDIS, just to like give a dying woman like her last wish.
Yeah.
Like just to see him one more time. Like it really wouldn't have been that hard.
Maybe he will.
Yeah.
That's another scene, like Kelsey said, that we have in our brains that should have been in there.
You make up that scene, Arlene, in your
I know, it makes me so sad because it's such a depressing episode. Like really,
I don't know if it's
really
depressing.
No, it's pretty sad at the
You
end.
just, you just want the doctor to be in the TARDIS with 32 other companions and everybody. It's like, let's all have one big party and never say goodbye.
Yeah.
Well, some companions need to go. But just to say hi and say like, hey, I have this power going back and forth and do something.
No, it's a good question. Like, why didn't he? And it was, based on our conversation about last week's episode, it was hard not to be influenced watching this episode. And a line that I noted for the first time is when King Louis is talking about how she left you, or no, he's telling the doctor about how she's waited for you. And he says, she wished you would have visited again. You know how women are. And Sarah Jane pops into my head. I'm like, oh, the doctor does know how women are now because Sarah Jane confronted him about that in the last episode. So, and I was reading that thought on the doctor's face of being like, oh, I do know. And then why did he go visit her again then?
Interesting thing about that is that the episode School Reunion was actually going to be after Girl in the Fireplace. Girl in the Fireplace was originally going to be the second episode in the series. But then when Davis read the script that Moffat had written, he said, this is more experimental, let's move it up. So that's probably why. There's also no Torchwood reference in this episode. So that could be where the disconnect kind of happens from what you just said.
I don't know about the disconnect, but yeah.
No, like
cool.
he hadn't, when he wrote this, he hadn't known about School Reunion yet, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm saying I'm totally, as a viewer, I'm totally reading this into this episode because I've watched School Reunion and then this one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but
Like that's my own audience
Viewpoint.
as a viewer
Right.
reading that into this episode.
like, so basically, he just learned a big lesson about not leaving someone
Yeah.
forever, and then he just did it again.
Yeah, and it kind of hits you a little bit
Yeah.
harder with that.
I thought it was a very interesting moment when he comes back and he's obviously heartbroken. And Rose said, "Are you okay?" Like, she totally knew what he was going through. She got it. And she wasn't jealous. She wasn't sad for herself. She was just like, she felt for him and asked him, "Are you okay?"
Everybody in that scene reacts great. She asks him if he's okay. He says, "I'm always all right."
I'm always all right.
And then Mickey says,
He can read the cue.
yeah. And Mickey is just like, he needs some time. Hey, show me around. And Rose does. Rose isn't like, no, I'm going to stay with the doctor. I think everybody, just appropriately reacts to that.
And I think it's starting to sink in really with Rose. Like, no, he is a lone wolf, and I'm no way going to be able to infiltrate.
There is no wolf pack, just the lone wolf.
Big bad wolf.
Yeah. He is the big bad wolf. Not her. No.
Hello, little girl.
Moffat
Can't go any further with that. We don't have the rights.
Moffat was inspired by the novel Time Traveler's Wife, so that's why he always meets Renette out of order, sort of. If you can see that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Similarity.
Actually, I got that connection, which makes me sad because at least in the Time Traveler's Wife, at the very end, she gets to see him one last time. You didn't think of that? Throw in a little bit of the romance.
No, men just like to twist the knife.
Yeah. Well, it also goes to the whole point that you are the loneliest man. That the whole lonely thing. So
it's his fault that he's lonely.
Yes, he needs therapy.
We all need therapy.
Oh yeah, of course we do. I should know.
So would we recommend this? Who would we recommend this to?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Everyone. The entire planet. Just have it on a constant loop on a channel somewhere. Just let it play over.
Girl in the Fireplace channel.
Today's schedule is...
During Christmas, instead of the regular Fireplace that they have on Netflix or whatever, they'll just have Renette behind the fireplace. She'll walk around and she'll come back and she'll be older and she'll come back. And
It's 1727, so.
You should make an app for that.
Yeah.
I'm sure people would download it.
Yeah, I love this episode. This is one of the best.
So that is a Who Knew viewer for Brian.
that'll be
After, just recently watching School Reunion and then this one, I'm going to not quite go for everyone, just the casual viewer. I don't know. This School Reunion was just really, really good. And this is really, really good as well. But I just after watching these two recently, I'm going to put School Reunion a little bit higher. So I'm going to go with casual.
Cool.
That's my answer.
I think this episode is enjoyable for everyone. So that's the Who Knew
Yes.
person.
Or a new Who. I think it's either way. Someone who hasn't seen any Doctor Who could watch this one. And
Yeah,
enjoy it.
and a diehard fan could watch this
Yes.
one, and
Yes.
a casual viewer could watch this
Yes.
one.
It's the same category.
So
Yes.
it's the everyone category.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was my first episode, and I think the only reason why I watched Doctor Who was because of this episode, and Eugene forced me to watch the rest of them. No, literally, like he would come over, put it on, and sit down and make me watch it.
And hold your eyelids open, pour drops in
So
them.
this episode didn't entice you to keep watching on your
No,
own?
it did. And then the other, because I'm not I like sci-fi, but more of time travel, but not the alien aspect.
You like the
kind-
past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like historical stuff. So it did entice me to watch it. And then I started watching other episodes. And I'm like, nah, this is boring. So, but really I love it. I would show this episode to my mom who hates sci-fi. This is like, I don't watch things over again. And I think I've seen this episode maybe 8 times and I still enjoy every second of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is for someone who has never seen Doctor Who before or loves it.
I think show it to somebody. Anybody. This is a good episode. I like a lot of the episodes that are that melancholy or has a good emotional story. It has the ambiguity of what is right kind of thing. So this one does play with a lot of the emotions, which is really great. I think it could be for a new viewer and just to enjoy it. And I think anybody would like it.
Cool. For me as well, it would be a new Who viewer just because of the feelings I got when Brian introduced this to me, and then seeing everybody else love this episode after introducing it to them. And that beginning scene still gives people the jump scares with the Clockwork Man reaching from underneath the bed. So it shows that that's still effective.
I jump every single time. I watched this.
That's what I mean.
Many times as Arlene, and I jumped again, jump every time.
Okay, Auburn.
I just wanted to be contrarian. That's it.
That's it?
Well, I will
unanimous.
slightly agree with him.
We weren't
I meant to
all
say,
unanimous, though.
But
Everyone else was.
I'll
He said
slightly
something
agree with
different.
Auburn that I think the other one is slightly better to a brand new person.
yeah, but still, this one too. I'm just saying.
Well,
Do you
maybe-
think that this
maybe
episode is a good example of what Doctor Who can show? Time travel, clever writing, interesting characters, an emotional arc,
Gender politics.
production value, good music,
Well,
Future and past.
perhaps
a clever plot that you actually have to figure out, and that, come on, that final reveal, the final shot of the ship
SS.
with the SS Madame de Pompadour, which just makes the whole episode make sense.
Well, I do think School Reunion is definitely for the more alien spacey types.
Absolutely.
And maybe, certainly somebody who is more into period pieces, I might show them this first. But just my initial reaction after watching both of them very recently, it's hard for me to give Girl in the Fireplace the same ranking as School Reunion.
All right.
I think that's a really good observation, though. I think there are perfect, pardon the pun, companion pieces where for the more people who are more sci-fi, they watch School Reunion. For people who are more romance novel, it's this one, The Girl in the Fireplace. But they both do the same thing, even character-wise.
So, I think they're excellent examples of those two things.
Yeah.
So they're both.
Yeah.
I'm
They're
not
equal.
disagreeing with you. I'm just trying to see if I can nudge you. That's all. All right. I tried.
I just think it's amazing that, between our last episode and this last episode, and we've seen these episodes already, and we've talked about them with each other, we could still have such a heated and diverse conversation. And I'm sure if we watched it again, we'd have another conversation.
Yeah, that's true. Some final thoughts that I had written down is that this whole episode is tragic, and that's what makes it great, because the most famous love story is tragic. Romeo and Juliet, they die at the end.
Oh,
So
thanks a lot.
Really?
So
I was going to read that next week.
But they're real old when they die, though, right?
sure.
Oh, they live a long life together on the slow path.
Well, that's okay.
Oh, that's nice.
So the whole episode of the doctor falling in love and not having that resolve, and then even Renette not having that resolve, and then Rose not having her love for the doctor not resolve. And so it's just a whole bunch of disappointments, but yet this episode is great.
Mickey does all right.
He does okay. And if this is an episode that you watch and you don't like, I don't think we can be friends, and that has happened to me. I cut people out of my life because of this, so...
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question for our viewers.
Okay.
So, Eugene can still wrap us up, but I'm interested to hear from you guys. If you, going back to the moment of Rose crying after the doctor severs the time connection, the window or whatever, do you agree with Frank that she is crying because she didn't think the doctor would leave her so soon? This is Rose thinking the doctor wouldn't leave her so soon. Or do you agree with Arlene that she's crying because the doctor chose Renette over Rose?
Good. So let us know. Email us at whoknewpodcast@gmail.com. And
And Frank would like to arm wrestle or lean over that question. So send us your thoughts so they don't have to arm wrestle.
So let us know who you think would win in an arm wrestle. I mean, sorry. So that wraps up The Girl in the Fireplace. Join us next time when the future becomes the present.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Who Knew?
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady.
You can find his work at
theuniverseexplodes.com.
You can find this show in several places.
Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcast.
Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher.
Or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/whoknewpodcast.
All of our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com.
You can leave comments there or email us at
whoknewpodcast@gmail.com. This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who.
The longest running sci-fi show in history.
And especially the revival spearheaded by Russell T. Davis.
Thanks to Russell,
Sydney Newman,
Verity Lambert,
Ron Grainer.
And all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord. Your work continues to inspire and entertain.
Sorry.
Did you record that?
Yeah.
Did you get that?
I had to get that out before I continued. After a moment, the
Wait.
Oh, then jump in. We're gathering our thoughts.
We're looking to see, okay, who wants to go first?
I looked.
Look up.
Not long enough.
I was emotional, all right? I was taking a moment.